One of the world's biggest problems is not only a lack of dialogue between world leaders, but there is too little dialogue between you and yourself. We lead our lives and work with conflict and political issues, but the dreaming aspect of dialogue is often missing, looking at yourself through the eyes of the opponent, at least temporarily. You still need to fight and sometimes even overcome the other person. But if you let in free reflection, will help whatever you are doing to be more sustainable. I think you were born to carry a certain kind of pattern, which you can see in your first dream and experiences. This pattern can be helpful not only in personal work, but in all relationship work and in the world as well. You are gifted with a relationship pattern that our world needs. The more you know about that pattern and bring it out, the more you can help our world. One of the biggest world problems is not the lack of world leaders, but that you do not see yourself as a world leader. I hear you say, me? A world leader? Yes. What am I supposed to do? Live your particular pattern or process in whatever you do. If it is painting, use it there. If it is dancing, use it there. If it is teaching or government, use it there and everywhere. We need your pattern for a better world. We should have learned about our patterns in kindergarten because this work is elementary. Even though thinking about the symbols might be new for some people, it is also simple. Perhaps some people have a dream leadership style for life of sitting quietly and meditating. If they really meditate, if they really go inward in their own way, that will help the world. In other words, world leaders are not just people who are out there leading. Everyone who lives their own dream helps the world. We need all of us to be our deepest self in all the things we do. Let me give you an example of integrating this relationship work into the world in everyday life. At one point this winter, we were in the mountains near Bend, Oregon, skiing on Mount Bachelor in Central Oregon. One morning, we drove up close to the mountaintop to go skiing. When we were in the parking lot putting on our skis and boots, we suddenly heard this person far away in the parking lot screaming loudly. She was shouting at somebody. We ignored her at first and continued putting on our ski equipment. Although the screaming woman was far away in the parking lot, we could hear every word. She was yelling at another woman. "It is always about you. You wouldn't get in the car. You have been doing this all day. I cannot stand it. You always do the same thing." She was screaming and screaming. "You are horrible. I hate you." Although she was at a distance, she was screaming so loudly everybody could hear her. She went on, and the other woman who was her enemy stood quietly, looking depressed on the other side of the car with her head down, shoulders shrugged. Amy thought, "Oh God, what is happening? Those women will deal with it." But Amy continues. Then Arnie, who was halfway done getting his ski boots on, said to me, "Oh, great. I hope they'll still be there by the time I get there." So I scrambled to get my stuff on, and we skied over to them. The woman was still screaming at the top of her lungs, and the other woman was cowering on the other side of the car. Arnie got there, went right up to the angry woman and said, "You are very strong, and that is really good. That is wonderful, but don't forget that you love each other. And the other woman is very sensitive," pointing to the quiet one. The angry woman looked up and said in the sweetest voice to Arnie, "You are a very sweet man." Meanwhile, I, Amy, went up to the one who was shy. I had no idea what to say, and I said, "We all go through these things. I really understand." Then the one who had been angry said to Arnie and me, "You know, I wish I could ski too, but I have osteoporosis, so I can't ski, and it is just really sad." She suddenly became the weak one in the group. "I wish I could go with you," she said to us. So Arnie said, "You can ski a little bit. Your bones are troublesome, but you could carefully try it, at least a little bit." She smiled and wanted to keep talking, but suddenly Arnie, or his bear, said, "Goodbye, we are going skiing," and we left to ski. We looked back, and you won't believe it. We saw the two women walking together hand in hand as they got in their car and drove off. In this story, the mean woman switched and became the weak one, and the other one looked better. It was a really good example of how we can apply this work to personal relationships, and then to outer or world figures and situations. World change depends upon you, upon all of us. I know this from my practice, from working with different leaders around the world. I have already mentioned my work in Switzerland. People would sneak into Switzerland to work on stuff, hoping they would not be seen doing that by the rest of the world. So I saw leaders coming in and wondering about changes their countries needed. Just getting them to walk around and notice what emotions came up was so helpful. Those things have led to social changes in their countries. They had the power to enact their dreaming, but we need you and everybody to be able to enact your dreaming to really change our world. Those world leaders wanted to follow their dreaming, and with help, they tried and made helpful changes. But we need everyone for sustainable change. World change keys are inside you. Please appreciate the positive and apparently negative energies in yourself and use them as best you can. Each of us is a leader, each in their own ways. Be open and center yourself in your childhood dream energies. Don't wait for so-called world leaders to change the world.